Dallas Wings won the first overall pick in the 2025 WNBA Draft, and Paige Bueckers seems like the obvious choice. And anxiety around will she actually go to Dallas has begun, including statements from the new GM Kurt Miller and President Greg Beebe, which seem to point otherwise, reading into Paige Bueckers' comments from herself, and potential players entering the draft that might mix things up. And well, I'm here to help fill you on everything that's happening and help decipher what's actually going to happen, and will Paige go to the Dallas Wings in 2025? Hey, you, if you'd like to support the channel and you haven't already subscribed, please do so and leave me a like. It definitely helps me out. And without further ado, let's get to the content. It's obvious to say that Paige is the number one overall pick. You can see the reaction of the Sparks.
The Los Angeles Times. First pick in the 2025 WNBA Draft.
And you can also see the reaction of players on the Dallas Wings, Arike falling to her knees, and the controversy that happened around that, and memeing and all sorts of stuff, even being attacked by some Paige Bueckers fans, similar to the Caitlin Clark shenanigans that we saw early on that happened in the WNBA this last year. And so really it's obvious that everyone's excited about her being the number one overall pick, and she is where all the focus is, where the money is. And so much so that Dallas has actually already sold out their 2025 season with the hopes and knowledge that they will get the number one overall pick, that it will be Paige Bueckers, and you will have a player that comes in, adds immediate value, and elevates the Dallas Wings. However, funny enough, there was an interview recently where Kurt Miller and the president, Greg Beebe, were talking about the players they wanted to get. And they were saying things like, you know, hey, like, we want to pick a player that's a foundational player. They weren't saying, hey, we're taking Paige. I guess they want to keep their options open. And who knows what Dallas actually wants to do. They may have other ideas. Like, maybe if, you know, the Sparks really want Paige Bueckers, maybe they'll make a deal and they'll get Kiki Irfan, and that will be awesome, and then they'll bring in other players or whatever they want to do. That said, at the end of talking about wanting to get a foundational player, Greg Beebe said, "Go Trojans." So immediately there was the like, wait, did you just give away who you're actually thinking about? Are you not going to take Paige? Like, what's going on? And there was a post on Twitter, and the Dallas Wings PR had to actually hop in and to clarify that Greg's daughter plays on the same field hockey team as the daughter of the writer who asked the question, and their team mascot is the Trojans. So he's basically saying that, like, go Trojans for, like, daughter's field hockey teams, which is like, it's so funny. It's like you like, the WNBA is like this, like, it's just this weird circus, man. I tell you, like, it's like the perfect Wild West time where it's before it's too corporate and buttoned up and trying to be professional, and you just get like weird, crazy stuff that happens like that. And there's so much focus and scrutiny on it that you get these weird storylines. So no, they weren't implying that they weren't going to take Paige, but also from Paige's standpoint, she's being, you know, some people might call it cagey because she's not out saying like, yeah, I'm going to be the number one pick. But that's also understandable, and she's talking about it in the right way.
Lottery at all, or?
Nah, I actually, people think I'm lying. I actually didn't watch it. It was giving me too much anxiety, so I just decided to, whatever was going to happen, regardless if I was watching or not. So I just kind of, you know, let the things happen and figure it out after.
As you have found out by now, Dallas gets that number one overall pick, a pick that everyone thinks they're going to use to take you. How do you feel about that?
I honestly don't want to get complacent. I want to stay humble, stay grounded, stay in the moment. Nothing in the future is guaranteed, so just taking every moment as it is. I'm a firm believer in God has a plan for me, so whatever that is, I'm ready to do it.
All right, well, the plan right...
Because what she's saying is, hey, my mentality is nothing's given. You have to earn it, which is a good mentality to have. But also, she's someone that has had career injuries that had her sit out for a year. Like, your health is not guaranteed. Freak accidents happen. Things happen. You don't know how good your competition is going to be. It could be that by the end of the year, Kiki Irfan, some Olivia Miles, Flauge, who knows, takes a leap, a jump, and maybe you're like, hey, maybe there is a question of who we should take. Now, I still don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that Paige is going to diminish her skill or become a worse player or not going to have success this year. there's no way that UConn's not making a Final Four run at a minimum this year. So I just don't see a world where she's still not the number one pick. But I also think it's smart of Paige to also just be humble and be like, hey, I didn't watch because the anxiety of who was going to get me, and I can't control that, and I just need to control what I can control, which is I need to go out and win for Gino and UConn and keep doing my thing. Now, with that said, there are a lot of players that, again, are being talked about as potential things, as far as, again, Flau'jae Johnson potentially entering in. I don't think that Flau'jae, their team, LSU hasn't played a real like competitive team yet. So like her putting up numbers against random podunk teams or whatever is not really like a telling me that she should be a number 1, number 2 overall pick currently. And we don't even know if she's going to declare. She probably wants whatever the highest draft spot. And maybe the Sparks is the moment where she says like, hey, I can go into LA, do my music business, do my basketball stuff, and we'll ride. But that said, again, I don't think anyone's replacing Paige. End of story. So this all raises the question of behind the scenes is, regardless of how Paige is responding and all this kind of stuff, which good mentality things to have, is really the truth is that Paige is the one in power. So when Caitlin Clark knew that she was going to go to the WNBA, she was like, okay, I've done everything I can here. It's time to move on. Part of that was also probably the fact that she knew that if she went, she was going to go number 1 overall, and she's likely going to the Indiana Fever, which again fits her goals of being close to home. She went to Iowa. She didn't go to UConn or Notre Dame or another big school and try to continue their greatness. She tried to go somewhere to make it her own, make her own greatness. So that makes sense to me. Similarly, Paige probably, let's be honest, probably would have liked to go to LA. Nothing against the Dallas Wings, but that's just it's that setup, who was there, all this kind of stuff was kind of built in that market to be huge, explosive. But if you go to the Dallas Wings, that's also fine. But Paige holds all the power, because really, if Paige in the background was like, hey, I'm going to stay another year, I'm going to take millions of dollars of NIL money, we'll see how the draft shakes out, in the following year, who gets the first overall pick, and I'll go from there. Also, you're going to have the new collective bargaining agreements, hopefully by then, all these other kind of things. So it's not like if she, and also even she has a deal even with Unrivaled. So it's not like she doesn't have other pro avenues already going on outside of her college career. And there's no real reason that she has to go to the WNBA, to be frank. So if she really in the background was like, hey, I actually want to go to LA or I want to wait a year, she could. And she could maybe even force some things on the back end of just being like, I'm big enough, I'm important enough. You don't want to waste a pick on me and have me sit out because I can. Like, I don't know. I don't think that she would do that. But again, all the power is in Paige Bueckers' hands right now. And that is the reality, because just Dallas getting the first overall pick is likely what had them sell out instantly and be sold out of tickets. So I have to believe that Dallas is going to put their best foot forward. And the other thing is that Dallas also has the opportunity, because they have the opportunity to take Paige, that increases your ability to recruit a coach. I actually believe that the Sparks even too were waiting on if they would get Paige, because if they got Paige, I don't know if they were going to take the same coach that they were going to take. Your potential to lure in a big name or go bigger comes to the forefront if you have the number 1 overall pick and you are going to bring in someone like a Paige Bueckers, and similar to a Caitlin Clark. You're going to be able to pull in names because of her. You're going to be able to pull in players because of her, because a lot of players, unlike Caitlin Clark, unfortunately, a lot of players in the WNBA rock with Paige Bueckers more because of speaking out at ESPYs and all sorts of other award shows and other stuff she has done. She is more embraced than Caitlin Clark is, and therefore I think that also works to your advantage of pulling people into your organization. So yeah, I think that after all this is said and done, the Dallas Wings are going to take Paige Bueckers and they're gonna do their thing. But until then, you're going to hear tons of noise, tons of stuff, little interviews being picked apart, and it's going to be crazy. But just know that Paige Bueckers is most likely going to the Dallas Wings. But hey, that's just what I'm saying. Let me know what you think. Leave a like, leave a subscribe, leave a comment down below. Let me know. Do you agree with this? Do you think Paige is going to go? Do you think she's going to hold out? Do you think she holds as much power as I think that she has? Do you like her mentality? All that, let me know. And remember, as always, you're going to be amazing today because you are amazing. And I'll catch you next episode.